Welcome back to the Brand Mary channel, where we are sharing personal branding and marketing strategies to help you increase your impact and your income. I'm Michelle Knight, founder and CEO of BrandMary.com, and today I want to share with you the art of repurposing. Specifically, we are going to talk about how to create a content workflow and how one single piece of content can create 20 plus pieces of content in your business. Now, I will tell you, I've got a free guide for you that's going to break all of this down, and you can map it out inside of this guide. So stay tuned to the end and I will share how you can get your hands on that. But the very first thing that you want to do is figure out what your core content is going to be. Now, I recommend that this core content is a long form piece of content. So something that, is quite a few words, typically like around 1,000 words or so, that you can then break up into smaller pieces. And it'll make sense why we're doing that in just a few seconds. But this core piece of content typically comes in the form of blogging, so writing, obviously, video, which is my core piece of content, or podcasting, audio. And those tend to be the top three that my audience and my clients like to gravitate towards. I do have a few clients who are super comfortable on social media, and maybe that's like their well-oiled machine and they're wanting to move into other areas like podcasting, video, or blogging. And they like taking their maybe 3 or 4 posts a week and pulling them together into one single piece of content. So that is available to you, but I find that majority of my clients really love taking the long form and then breaking that down. So you want to choose the piece of long form content that works best for you. Again, I start with video content. So this video right now is a core piece of content for one entire week in my business. So number 1, figure out your core content. Number 2, decide on your platforms. Now, this is equal parts. Where do you feel comfortable showing up and want to show up? And where's your audience showing up? So we never want to say like, I want to be on Twitter and your audience really isn't spending a lot of time on Twitter. So be really strategic, especially if it's just you in the beginning. You don't have to be everywhere. As you start to really get great at mastering this workflow, you'll find that it's really easy to add on another social media platform or add on a different piece to your content. But in the beginning, start small. And the 3 areas that I recommend are thinking of one form of social media, one form of search engine optimized platform, right? We'll talk about those. And then email marketing. You should always be growing your email list, which means you should always be emailing your growing email list. So those are the 3 areas that I recommend starting out with. And this could look like, for search engine, this could look like blogging, which works hand in hand with Google, Pinterest, which is a search engine platform, and YouTube, which is a search engine platform. So choosing one of those, and then your email list, and then a form of social media. Maybe that's Instagram, Facebook, maybe it's Twitter, maybe it's LinkedIn, maybe it's TikTok. I don't know, whatever you want to do. So that is where you want to decide what are the platforms. After I have this core piece of content, where am I going to put it out? And then ultimately making sure that you're falling into those 3 categories: email marketing, search engine optimized, and a form of social media. All right. Once you have figured out your core content, you figured out where you're going to be putting that core content and then additional pieces, now we get to map out the plan. Okay, so this is where the fun begins. This is where, and inside of the guide I'm going to share with you, there's actually a web that I've created so you can have a really, it's easy, it's very visual for you, which is helpful. But you have your core piece of content in the center, and then you have all of these webs. It's kind of like mind mapping. You have all of these webs that go out that have the different platforms and how many times you're going to show up on those platforms. So I'm going to give you an example of my business so you can see how this works. So we start with a core piece of content, this video right here, which is part of a series that I have on social media called Mondays with Michelle. That video I record, then it gets put out on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. So that's 3 platforms already out of the gate from one piece of content. In addition to that, we transcribe the video content and turn that into a blog post. So we transcribe our video, just pretty much exactly how it is, and we put that onto our blog, which we've optimized for SEO, making sure that our title and our headers and things are going to show up in search engines. Okay, from that blog post, we are creating 5-ish pin graphics for Pinterest. So we want to make sure that my content is getting seen on Pinterest. We have a very awesome strategy with Pinterest. One of the things I teach inside of the academy, and that's where thousands and thousands of my website visitors are coming from. So we're creating 5 additional pieces of content for Pinterest, and those will be recycled through not just that week, but over the course of a few weeks. And then the pins that do really well will continue to put energy towards and optimize for, like I said, years to come. Then from that core piece of content, I'm showing up on Facebook and Instagram multiple times a week. So we're typically creating 2 to 3 graphics or posts, maybe sometimes a reel that has to do with that core piece of content. And that's on 2 platforms. So that's 6 additional pieces of content over that week and possibly into the next week as well, just depending on what we've got going on. Then, in addition to that, I'm also showing up multiple times through Instagram Reels. We will create Instagram stories. I'll go on stories and just talk about the Mondays with Michelle. And so I'm showing up on that platform as well. That is what I use in my business, in addition to emailing my list and saying, hey, I've got a new blog and I've got a new video up. So that's about 20 pieces of various content that I'm putting out into the world, and it's coming from one single video. And I'm not having to recreate the wheel every time. Like, that core transcript from this video is creating the social media content, and it's creating the blog, and it's determining what the Pinterest graphics are going to be. So I don't have to think about it every single day. What am I going to write? And so I hope you see how awesome this is, because it's such a fun way to make sure that not only is your content getting into the hands of the people who need it most, but it's also making sure that you're becoming known for something in your industry. And that's the power of branding. Really kind of repeating yourself and saying the same things in different ways multiple times helps get your point across and really helps move your customer through the buying process. The other piece of this is that people are going to find your brand at different points of the buying process, meaning that someone who's further along and ready to purchase is most likely going to Google to find your products or your services, where someone who's just casually scrolling and casually looking for, advice or education might be turning to social media. So by showing up on these various platforms, you're able to make sure that you're bringing in people at various points of the buying process, which is truly, truly important as a business owner. Okay, so you have created your core content, picked out what that's going to be. You've decided on the platforms that you're going to show up with to start. Then you map it out and determine, what does this look like, right? If you're creating a video, where's that going? You don't have to do Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. I've got a team now. Pick what works best for you. And then you're ultimately going to be adding it to a task management software so that you can repeat the workflow every single week. So after you've created your map of what that content is going to look like, then you want to make a checklist of, okay, well, what do I got to do, right? Okay, I have to pick the title for the content. Then I need to write a script, maybe if you're doing a video. Then I'm going to have to take that video and I'm going to have to transcribe it, whether that's someone's doing it for you or you're using a platform like rev.com. You then want to make the graphics for these different things, right? I want you to list out every micro piece that goes into this process, which if you're a solopreneur, it might be like, this is a long list, Michelle, and I get it, but I promise the more that you repeat this, the faster it will become for you. And then when you are in a place where you're ready to add team, you can very easily assign people the weekly things that they need to do for your business to keep it moving forward, to make sure that you're creating that consistent content. Then I recommend adding that to a task management software. We use ClickUp over here at Brand Mary, but you can also use Asana. Maybe Trello works for you. There's a lot of options out there. Again, ClickUp's what we use. Maybe start there, test it out, see if you like it. And this becomes a template, and it's repeated every single week in my business. Now, repurposing doesn't stop here. Repurposing can be used in your programs, workshops that I've done that I've turned into free content that I've turned into paid content. Like, the possibilities are endless, but this strategy to repurposing your content and creating this workflow is going to help you consistently show up which is key. And again, consistency doesn't mean you're showing up every single day, but it means that you're showing up for your audience and you're not piecing out for an entire month and they're not hearing anything from you. That's stalling the movement through the buying process. We want to keep that momentum going. So I teased that I had a guide for you. And if you are ready to get your hands on that, you can go to brandmary.com/repurpose and get your hands on my repurposing guide. It's going to just walk through this process again for you, but it's going to give you a nice workbook to map out the different pieces. And I've got some bonus content for you as well in there when it comes to content creation and creating your workflow in task management. There you have it. That is how you master the art of repurposing, creating a workflow that you can repeat week after week after week. This is so essential if you are the only one in your business. You are rocking that solopreneur life. And very, very important if you have a team, because then you don't have to do everything. Everybody's helping you out. But creating this workflow is just really an awesome strategy for creating consistent content. If you're ready to get your hands on that repurposing guide, go to brandmary.com/repurpose or click the link in the description below and you can get your hands on that guide that is going to walk you through the process of choosing your platforms, mind mapping, making that checklist, and I've got some additional bonuses for you on content creation and task management as well. I'll be back next week with another video. Be sure to like this video, subscribe, and leave me any comments below, and don't forget to grab your guide. I'll see you soon.